Do you have a problem with belly fat? Do you feel like no matter what you do, you can't get rid of that stubborn pouch on your lower abdomen? If you do, then you're not alone. According to a study, 94% of people who try to lose weight fail to achieve their goals, and belly fat is one of the most common and frustrating challenges they face. But what if I told you that there is a way to lose belly fat without starving yourself or doing endless crunches? A way that involves following 5 simple steps that can boost your metabolism, burn more fat, and improve your health. Sounds amazing, right? Well, it is. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you the secrets of losing belly fat and how you can apply them to your own life. So, if you want to learn how to get a flat and toned stomach, keep watching. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this video. I'm here to share with you some of the most effective and easy ways to lose belly fat using natural and holistic methods. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you for your support, I really appreciate it. Now, let's get to the belly fat. Before we get into the 5 steps, let me explain why belly fat is so hard to lose, and why most people fail to get rid of it. There are 3 main reasons why belly fat is so stubborn. The receptors. To burn fat, it must be released from your fat cells first. This is called lipolysis. However, in stubborn areas like your lower belly, the rate of this release is slower. This is because they have more of a type of receptor that slows down the breakdown and release of stored fat. These are called alpha receptors. They act like brakes on fat burning. On the other hand, normal fat cells have beta receptors. When these are activated, they speed up the breakdown and release of stored fat. They act like accelerators of fat release. Each fat cell can have different amounts of alpha and beta receptors. Those with more alpha receptors tend to release fat more slowly than those with beta receptors. And belly fat is an example of this. The blood flow. Blood flow is essential for fat burning. It's like the road that allows fat to be transported to the rest of your body to be used as energy. This is called lipid oxidation. This is basically the fat that's being moved to other cells where it can be burned for energy. Areas with stubborn fat like your lower belly have poor blood flow. This means that these areas receive less blood flow. This is one of the main reasons why you may see other areas losing fat faster than your lower belly. Because they receive good blood flow. But the lower belly is slow because this road is harder to access. This means that when fat is released from the cells, it's harder for your body to move that fat to where it can be processed and burned. This lack of blood flow makes the problem of stubborn fat worse. Not only is it harder to get fat out of these cells due to the higher number of alpha receptors, but once it's out, it's also harder to reach its destination where it can be used for energy. The insulin sensitivity. Insulin is a hormone that your body produces to help you process sugars. When we eat carbs, our body breaks them down into glucose, which enters the bloodstream. Insulin is then released by the pancreas to help our cells absorb and use the glucose for energy. Insulin acts like a key that unlocks the cells, allowing glucose to enter. Now, when it comes to fat storage, insulin also has an impact. When it comes to stubborn fat, they tend to be more sensitive to insulin. This means they react more strongly to insulin signals, leading to more fat storage and less fat release, compared to normal fat cells. These 3 reasons together explain why fat in the lower part of our body can be stubborn and hard to lose. The important question here is, can we target fat in this area? This video will guide you to lose fat from your belly, but it doesn't mean that you can choose which part of your body you lose fat from by doing specific exercises for that area. The answer is no. You cannot pick a body part and spot reduce fat. Fat loss is not site-specific. Many people will try to reduce fat in these areas by doing exercises that target these areas, like leg raises, crunches, and sit-ups. But sadly, these exercises only strengthen and tone your core muscles. They won't directly burn fat from those specific spots. Fat loss happens throughout the body as a whole, rather than in an isolated region. So, let's get into the most effective steps to get rid of the lower belly fat for good. Step 1. Caloric deficit. To lose any kind of fat, and especially the lower belly fat, the first rule is, you need to be in a caloric deficit. This is where the total calories burned each day outweighs the calories you consume from the foods and drinks. The bigger the deficit, the more fat will be burned. But creating too big a caloric deficit in the diet can be too hard to follow. If you're very overweight, to start with, a 500-calorie deficit is a good target. If you're close to getting abs and need to adjust your diet slightly, A smaller target between 200 and 300 is a good idea. There are 3 ways to create a deficit. The first one is reducing your caloric intake through your diet. The second way is increasing your caloric output through exercise. The third way is reducing your caloric intake through your diet and increasing your caloric output through exercise. The third option makes the most sense, as you can create a bigger deficit without having to diet or exercise too intensely. If you want to create a 500-calorie deficit, for example, then you can do 200 calories worth of exercise and reduce your calories by 300 from your diet. Or 150 calories from exercise and 350 calories from your diet. Find a ratio that suits your lifestyle. If you maintain a 500-calorie deficit per day, that's 3,500 calories per week, which is roughly 1 pound of body fat. If you need to lose 12 pounds of fat to reach visible abs, then you're 12 weeks away from achieving your goal. The main reason why most people never lose their lower belly fat is because they don't manage to stay in a caloric deficit, and most importantly, they don't stay in a caloric deficit for long enough. Only from month 3 of hard work with my diet do I only start to see fat tissue shift from my lower belly. So, this is my message to you: be patient. It took you a while to gain the weight, it's gonna take you a while to lose it. Also, when losing the lower belly fat, don't try to cut too quickly, because you'll burn out. The best analogy I can use is, in a Tesla, or any car, its range for how far it can go is based on the fuel tank. If you cut your calories too quickly, it's like poking a hole in your gas tank. You're never gonna have enough fuel to reach your goal. Step 2, Cardio Accelerator. Walking is one of the biggest game changers for losing lower belly fat. Let me explain. Research has shown that both fat and carbs are burned, and the proportions vary with the intensity of the exercise. It also shows that as exercise intensity increases, so does the reliance upon muscle glycogen for energy over your fat stores. As the exercise gets more intense, so does the proportion of energy coming from glycogen compared to fat. This is why very low-intensity activities like walking tap mainly into fat stores, where high intensity pulls much more heavily from carbohydrates. Both moderate intensity and high intensity interval training are effective for fat loss, but it depends on which you prefer. When we exercise, our body uses 3 sources of fuel: fats, carbs, and protein. Being that the goal is fat loss, using fat as fuel would be ideal. HIIT pulls much more heavily from carbohydrates. Consider this example from the American Council of Exercise. Assume you just burned 200 calories from 30 minutes of low-intensity running. Approximately 120 calories of those 200 comes from fat. Now, assume you burned 400 calories at a higher intensity in the same amount of time. Of those 400 calories, roughly 140 comes from stored fat. Of course, this example assumes your sessions are equal in length. If your HIIT workout is shorter than your slow cardio session, you may end up burning more fat with slower cardio. In short, walking was something that I could sustain for longer than 3 months. With losing the lower belly fat, it's gonna take some time. It's a marathon. What normally happens is, you burn out and you give up quickly because you're exhausted from all the high-intensity interval training. By month 3, so let me share with you my cardio routine. How did I find the time to get all the steps? Number 1. I woke up early, and that allowed me to walk for an hour. And that alone got me 6,000 steps. Walking to the gym and back would give me 2,000 steps. And walking in the gym between my training sessions, I got another 2,000 steps. That's 10,000 steps right there, without even trying too hard. And if you're roughly between 160 pounds and 200 pounds, you burn roughly 500 calories per 10,000 steps. If you walk 10,000 steps for 7 days, that's equivalent to 3,500 calories burned in a week, which is exactly equal to 1 extra pound of body fat. 1 pound of fat is roughly equal to 3,500 calories. This would be just through walking alone. As the week passes, I would burn more fat the more I walked. Look at my client Nicholas. This is an amazing transformation he did with the exact same tactic. Step 3, Intermittent Fasting. Intermittent fasting is a way of eating that focuses more on when you eat, rather than what you eat. The general idea is to spend more time every day and/or week in a post-absorptive state than in a postprandial, high-insulin, state. You see, with a normal type of diet, you eat food every few hours. Let's say 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. That is, every day you eat food intermittently for 13 hours and eat nothing for 11 hours. Due to the time it takes to process food, and depending on the size and the composition of your final meal of the day, This means that the majority of the time the body spends in a post-absorptive state will be when it's asleep. So, 6 to 7 hours is probably the average. With intermittent fasting, you flip this around. You eat food intermittently for, let's say, 8 hours and eat nothing for 16 hours. What I personally did to follow the plan better was a 16 to 8 intermittent fasting. Although it's not a magic pill, because I was so busy in med school, I would be hyper-focused during the day, as a tremendous amount of mental focus and clarity came from this, which is one of the benefits of intermittent fasting. During my fast, I would drink 1 to 2 cups of black coffee, which is also shown to have fat-burning effects. My general rule was no coffee after midday. Once I get home from the hospital, I could eat anything that fits my macros, because this was so enjoyable, it made me even more consistent, and that allowed me to lose more fat, because I was adhering to the diet so well. I had 0 cheat meals in 90 days, because the diet felt like I was already cheating. Step 4. High-intensity interval training. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is a form of exercise that alternates between short periods of intense anaerobic exercise with less intense recovery periods, where you're catching your breath, until you're too exhausted to continue. High-intensity interval training is not the big secret to fat loss. However, it can be a powerful weight loss tool when you know how to use it. Multiple studies have shown, as those conducted by Laval University, East Tennessee State, Baylor College of Medicine, and the University of New South Wales, show otherwise. The results reinforce the notion that, for a given level of energy expenditure, vigorous exercise favors a negative energy and lipid balance to a greater extent than exercise of a low to moderate intensity. How I did HIIT. I liked using an air runner, and I would sprint for 30 seconds, and I would walk for 1 minute. And 30 seconds of sprint again, and walk for a minute, for a total of 15 minutes. This strategy, I would only implement from week 8 onwards. If you're too heavy, it may be intense for your knees, so this strategy should only be used when you've lost about 10% body fat. In month 3, I would use HIIT to burn those extra calories, to really tap into those lower belly fat stores. What I would also recommend, to be able to improve blood flow, and this is a tip that I use for myself, some research will show otherwise, we want to improve blood flow to our midsection. So, you will still see bodybuilders using a waist trainer, or they'll train in a hoodie. And the main reason for that is, by increasing your core body temperature in your upper body, at least by wearing a hoodie, you could improve your blood flow in your general upper body. And this is another reason why people use waist trainers. I'm not recommending to use it, but this is one of the strategies that I use. I do cardio in a hoodie, to increase my upper body's core temperature. And, in reality, when I get to that lower digit body fat, I do use a waist trainer, when I'm trying to get rid of those extra little pounds. That may just be placebo, but that's what I personally do, and that's a little tip that I've used on myself, to get rid of that lower belly fat. Step 5. Supplements. Supplements are not essential for losing belly fat, but they can help you speed up the process and make it easier. Here are some of the supplements that I have used and recommend. Yihimbine HCl. This is a supplement that's derived from the bark of the yihimbe tree, which is native to West Africa. It's often marketed as a fat loss aid, mainly because of its supposed ability to increase fat burning. However, the scientific evidence supporting this use is mixed, and the supplement can come with several side effects. Yihimbine acts as an alpha-2 adrenergic antagonist, which means it blocks the activity of the receptors in the body that inhibit the breakdown of fat. In theory, by blocking these receptors, yihimbine would allow for greater fat breakdown and loss. Additionally, yihimbine can stimulate the release of norepinephrine, a hormone that can enhance fat burning. However, it's important to note that human studies on yihimbine have not definitively proven that it will be effective on promoting fat loss, especially localized fat loss. While some studies have found it to be beneficial, others have not, and many have methodological limitations. From my research, I've read that yihimbine may trigger anxiety to some level, so this may not be an option for everyone. However, in the past, I've used yihimbine, and it has been helpful. Caffeine. This is a stimulant that can boost your energy, focus, and mood. It can also help you burn more calories and fat, by increasing your metabolic rate and your lipolysis. It can also help you fast for longer, by suppressing your appetite and reducing your hunger. Caffeine can also enhance the effects of other fat-burning supplements, like yihimbine. However, caffeine can also have some side effects, like jitteriness, insomnia, anxiety, and tolerance. So, you should use it with caution and moderation. My general rule was no coffee after midday. I would drink 1 to 2 cups of black coffee during my fast, which is also shown to have fat-burning effects. Whey protein. This is a type of protein that comes from milk. It's one of the most popular and effective supplements for muscle building and recovery. It can also help you lose fat by increasing your protein intake, which can boost your metabolism, reduce your appetite, and preserve your muscle mass. Whey protein can also help you feel satiated, which can prevent you from overeating or snacking. I would use whey protein to meet my protein needs, which is essential for maintaining muscle and losing fat. These are some of the supplements that I have used and recommend for losing belly fat. Of course, you should always consult your doctor before taking any supplements, and make sure they are safe and suitable for you. Supplements are not magic pills, and they won't work unless you follow the other steps that I have shared with you in this video. So, to recap, you want to be able to stay in a deficit for longer. Only in month 3 or 4, may you start seeing that lower belly fat go away. So, why most people never see their lower belly fat is because they don't give it enough time. I've even seen some clients take up to 7 months to finally get that lower belly fat to go and completely disappear. The second thing is, try and walk more. You can get up to 20,000 steps. And when you've lost the weight, walking is going to be the greatest thing that will tap into that lower belly fat, because it will mainly use fat as an energy source. The third thing that I try and utilize is, improve my blood flow to my midsection. And this is generally by increasing the temperature. And this is done by doing walking with a hoodie or by using a waist trainer when I'm doing cardio. This is effective for me. I've used it before. And you'll see some other bodybuilders use it too. And then, in terms of supplementation, when you're trying to get rid of that last little bit of lower belly fat, yihimbine is something that you'll see a lot of bodybuilders use. Caffeine is another supplement that people use. And whey protein. But I'll leave the video there. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys enjoyed this video. Leave it a thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next one.